Greetings and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be doing an author spotlight video where I highlight one of my favorite authors that writes amazing queer romances, and today I'm going to be featuring MJ May. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to my little mini series where I'm highlighting some of my favorite authors that have books with such great LGBTQ representation. It is June, it is Pride Month, so I am just posting back-to-back videos filled with queer romance recs, and I hope you guys are enjoying them because I'm having so much fun filming them. The intention of these videos is for me to be able to highlight authors that I think have an amazing backlist, write such good queer romances, and I want more people to read them. So that's what we're going to be doing this week. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite authors that writes amazing queer paranormal romances, and that is MJ May. So what I'm going to do today is kind of give you an overview of the author's backlist. I won't be diving into every individual book that they've written. I'm mainly going to highlight my favorites and the ones that I think you should start with. Quick overview of MJ May. They are an author that I discovered because of my best friend Desiree. She read one of her books and absolutely loved it. When I picked it up, I immediately fell in love with her writing. I think she writes really unique romances that I just feel more people need to talk about. Books are predominantly available on Kindle Unlimited if you have that subscription, and she mainly writes paranormal romance and urban fantasy. Her backlist is pretty extensive, and she does have quite a variety of different subgenres, but what I'm really going to be focusing on is her male-male paranormal romances because that's really where I feel like she thrives. Just a little bit about the author. I did go on their website and look at the About Author section. J. May is a writer who writes on her free time because she is also a full-time veterinarian. Oh, good Lord. She's a vet, okay? I don't know why that really tongue twisted me for a second. Also said that she started in fan fiction and used to write a lot of fan fiction before publishing her full-length novels. She does have a bunch of short stories and bonus content on her vlog if you want to check that out, but that is just an overview of the author. So let's go ahead and hop in on some books that I think you should start with. I'm really going to be focusing on her male-male paranormal romance series because I think it's so fantastic and so unique and I want more people to read it. But she does have other series. I know she has a mystery series. For someone who loves mystery, romantic suspense, or even urban fantasy, you definitely could dive deeper into her backlist. Today we're going to be focusing on her Perfect Pixie series, which is where I was kind of introduced to her. Right now there are currently 5 books in this series and I am completely caught up on the series. These are books that you definitely have to read in order. Each book follows a different couple, but the overall plot continues from book to book. I would describe this as a male-male paranormal romance series that is pretty slow burn. It definitely focuses on the emotional connections between characters. There's some steam if you feel like you need that in your books, but it is relatively slow burn. If you're someone who loves the fated mates trope, then you will absolutely love this entire series. First book in the series is Perfectly Imperfect Pixie. This is a romance between a pixie and a werewolf shifter. So the book starts off by following our hero Phil, who is a home and hearth pixie. There are different types of pixies and they're able to create different bonds. Because he is a home and hearth pixie, he really bonds to specific homes and families to protect. Phil is not like your average type of pixies. A lot of pixies are more daintier and smaller. He is not. So he has received a lot of prejudice for the way that he looks. Has really even struggled to look for employment because people are judging him based off of the way that he looks. This is where our hero Cedric comes in. He is a werewolf shifter and the alpha of his pack. He is looking for a home and hearth pixie to help watch his nephew and niece. Hero Cedric has recently suffered a huge loss. His brother and his sister-in-law recently passed away and they left their kids with him. Kind of starts a huge custody battle for him because their grandfather, who is another alpha werewolf, wants full custody of the children. However, their grandfather is not a good man. He's very power hungry. He is known for being quite abusive to his pack. So he's just desperately trying to protect his niece and nephew, which is how he ends up hiring Phil to be a home and hearth pixie for them. A pixie and a werewolf is kind of an odd pairing, but they suit each other so freaking well. Romance felt so effortless. They truly felt like soulmates. I also loved the relationship that our characters had with the kids in this book as well. It was just so sweet. They felt like such a true family. Loved the fated mates aspect. The stakes in this book are pretty high. The plot is very interesting and I just think this is such a good start to the series. I also highly recommend the audiobook. The narrator for this audiobook, I cannot recall his name. It's slipping my mind. He's this deep gruff voice, and it portrays the alpha werewolf in the best way. Like, I absolutely love the audiobook, so if you are an audiobook girly, I highly recommend checking that one out. The next 4 books in the series I'm going to kind of just breeze by because I don't want to give you any spoilers. The next book in the series is Perfectly Perfect Pixie, and this is Peach's story, who is a character that you get to meet in the first book. He is a nature pixie, and this is a romance between him and a vampire. This is a top contender for one of my favorite books in the series because you guys know I love vampires. Okay, anything vampire related I love. In this series, the plot does continue where the alpha werewolf that was kind of the villain in the first book has definitely become more and more of a threat to different characters within this book. Hero Lucroy is the head of his vampire nest, and there's kind of like this old wives' tale, this rumor that pixie blood is actually poisonous to vampires. And it becomes an issue when he starts to realize that Peaches, our pixie in this book, is his fated mate, or what they call his beloved. Battling within himself if he is going to continue this bond with his fated mate and risk this lore of pixie blood being poison for vampires, or is he going to like resist his true feelings? So it really follows their romance as well as developing the plot in the series. This one is such a good one. The next book in the series is called Perfectly Charmed Pixie, and it follows Parsnip. I know these names are so silly, but stay with me. And he is a social pixie. It means he really thrives in front of an audience. Actually a talk show host for a very popular home renovation show. Years ago, he was kidnapped in a pixie trafficking ring, spends months in captivation, which really alters his own form of magic and his physical appearance, which becomes an issue because he's a social pixie and his appearance on his show is everything. For years, he has been using charms to alter his physical appearance, and it has been at a great cost of himself because it takes pieces of his soul every time that he uses it. Looking for a warlock to continue to make these magical objects for him, and that is where he meets our hero Vander. Vander is a warlock, and when Parsnip kind of first propositions him, he is absolutely horrified that he is risking pieces of his soul for his job, essentially. Follows the romance, and this is another contender of being my favorite in this series because it's just so sweet and wholesome, and I was like crying at the end of this. Whole series also has like a huge found family trope to it, and you really felt that in this book. All of the couples that you read about in previous books, you continue to see throughout the entire series. They are really instrumental to the plot, and it just builds this beautiful found family vibe, and I love it. Next 2 books, I'm just going to tell you the character pairings, and I'm not going to tell you the plot because it will just be a spoiler for the whole series. So the next one is called Perfectly Perplexing Zombie, and this is a romance between a zombie and a fairy. I know, what an odd pairing. I was kind of uncertain when I picked this book up, but oh boy did I love this one. It follows our hero Wendell, who is a zombie. Most zombies when they're resurrected are not present or coherent, but he is, and it is soon discovered that he was actually murdered in his human life. Reason and the person behind his murder ends up becoming quite a danger to everyone in this group. Turns out that he also had fairy or fae blood within him, so that is where our hero Ray comes in. He's from the land of fairy, and his queen has taken quite the interest in Wendell. Has actually like assigned him to keep an eye on Wendell and make sure that he stays safe in his second life. It follows their romance. Another really sweet one. Our hero in this book is such like a little cinnamon roll. I love him. The last book in this series is called Perfectly a Peculiar Pixie. Again with the noise on the outside. Why is the world so loud? Cool. By an airport, which makes filming during the day quite a challenge, and it's really rare that I film during the day. Anyways, Perfectly Peculiar Pixie is called that because it's a romance between a cat shifter who's also a pixie and a vampire. Unique pairing. So the thing with this whole series is it is paranormal romances, but they're so unique. I just haven't read anything like them before. So can't tell you much about the last book because again, spoilers. Okay, so that is an overview of her Pixie series, and I hope you give it a try. If you like paranormal romances, I really think you will like this series. It's so unique, it's so sweet, it's so well written, so well thought out, and I love it, and I cannot wait to read more by this author. And that is it. If you stayed this long and you enjoyed the video, leave the pixie emoji, right? That is so fitting for this whole series because that's all I talked about. So yeah, leave the pixie emoji down below, and that's it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!